resources. So, of course, that's advertising, and we know the power of advertising is to make us to buy things that we don't want to do, that we don't need.
OK, representing the brands, a big con, what comes out of the tap is just as good, if not better.
I think that's debatable, and I think it's difficult for consumers because there are so many mixed messages. Because just as you've made these very reasonable points, if you do an internet search, you'd find out that in London people are concerned about the estrogen levels in water, so much so that there have been surveys where 50% of low river fish turn from male to female. And then, there are debates about whether we should
because the water supply is being pumped into the rivers, yeah.
Because of the contraceptive pill and that being recycled within the water, or then, for example, you've got debates on fluoridization of water. So, if consumers are faced with those kind of headlines which are worrying, right, then the thing that they want to reach for is the bottle of water in which the ingredients are there, and they feel as if so I think they're trusting
but the brands don't discourage this, do they?
No.
They're quite happy to see these headlines, these arguments, because it means people go out and buy their product. That's a bit of a con, isn't it?
Yeah, brands are happy, but then we also have to look at the fact that there's been an increase in bottled water consumption because there's been a decrease in soft drink consumption and sugary drinks. So that is a good thing because tea, coffee, kombucha, all of these things have gone up.
Absolutely.
I want to bring Jonathan back in on this one, because he sat very quietly since we accused him of being a representative of a bunch of con artists, which we're not saying they are. But I mean, it is. Who recognised at one point that water could be sold like this? Where did that come from?
Well, if we look at brands or the theory of branding, I mean, I would say that brands are as old as human beings are. Like, we've always wanted to label things to make them easy to recognise and understand. So whether that's, a government or a political party or hieroglyphs or flags, any of these things, they conform to brand theory. So I want to disagree slightly with this idea that brands are bad. Brands are a reflection of humans and culture, right? And also, I'm a professor of branding. I lecture about 100 different nationalities every year at university. And if I was to take you to my classrooms and was to put you in front of these students from different backgrounds all across the world, there are lots of people that go to business school that want to make a change, want to make a difference. So I see them when they start their education, they leave, they join companies. And so this idea of the corporation being one distinct identity that is evil or is against lots of other people doesn't reflect on the ground level.
Would it be a little trite to suggest that these corporations are also quite happy to see dolphins, whales and turtles die because the water's put into plastic bottles which are just dumped everywhere? And it's only suddenly now that the world has a conscience that the companies are doing something about it.
I think that's a fallacious argument, because, the idea that you do this, you produce bottled water and then say that you're happy for dolphins to die, to me that doesn't make sense. I think it's a lot more complicated than that. And even if we look at why people are using, consuming bottled water, or water being a basic human right, the reality is, if I take a tangent, let's look at the pharmaceutical industry, right? Paracetamol is a generic brand, right? Then you've got Tylenol and you've got Panadol. Now, they're a lot more expensive, but if you ask people which one they would rather have, even presented with the evidence, they still go for this branded entity. And even there are studies that would show that that Panadol, paracetamol, whatever, doesn't treat lower back pain in the way that people think that it does. So we're dealing with complicated human emotions that it's easy to pin the blame on the brand when
Philip,
actually,
jump in.
we're going to see more. But I'd also like to pull back to what Assad is saying. And
the clock is ticking.
Okay. Branding, marketing doesn't just apply to multinational corporations, it applies to what governments do and policy. So if we're talking about clean water and what it is that goes into your cup, we need to know. And that means that governments, if they are owning reservoirs of water, need to tell consumers, and they can influence consumption as well. I think it's a big mistake just to say that branding and marketing happens with private companies.
Well, thank you for coming on the programme. Thank you for watching. I'm David Foster. This has been Roundtable. Hope to have your company next time. Goodbye.